And I said, within a week you can do that? I said, yes, let's try it. And that was just amazing.
In 2020, MUA wished to make a dramatic improvement to its motor claims experience. Red Dot accompanied the strategy, concept design, technical build, and deployment of a solution together with a cross-functional team from MUA. The whole project took only 4 months to launch. In their own words, here are the stories from the team.
The market is very difficult today because there are many insurance companies all offering the same products, no differentiation, and as the leader we want to differentiate ourselves. And with the new technology today, customers are expecting more and more that we are very quick in paying claims, and that's exactly where we wanted to be good at.
Je me suis dit, il faut qu'on bouscule les habitudes de nos clients notamment, comme l'a fait Amazon, en créant un écosystème qui nous permettrait de jouer sur les délais, ce que nous arrivons à faire très bien aujourd'hui.
The approach, what I liked also, that we were not embarked into a very long project. We knew that after a week, we would have a go, no go. After a month, another go, no go. So I liked the prudent approach, not embarked into a very long project, very costly project.
You know, the project got the go the eve of the lockdown. So on Thursday afternoon, we had the go. And Friday, everyone, all the team, we were at home. So, you know, we had the posters and everything in one room, and we had to put everything online, in fact. So it's access to the collaborative tools, it's the wiki, it's a way of doing the Kanban board online. So this was the most challenging task I think I had.
And I had to listen to all the small issues, fine-tuning between the team of MUA, the stakeholders, and give them to the engineering team to have a good rollout, a smooth rollout.
Things were getting very visible very quick. So we create value every 2 weeks, and it really becomes real for the team, in fact, also for the client.
Vous savez, aujourd'hui, en entreprise, un projet peut prendre des années pour être mis sur pied. Et là, avec la méthode Agile, avec l'aide de Red Dot et avec l'aide de tout un chacun dans l'équipe, ce projet, on l'a conçu pendant très peu de temps.
Aujourd'hui, on a beaucoup de data, beaucoup de données, et que le partage de ces données doit se faire de manière dynamique.
Now the data is much more, there's more micro data, so we have to get deeper into analysis. We can target every segment. This way we can better take actions.
You know, we're all reading about big data, how this changes business, but it's still theoretical. When you actually see that in action, it makes a difference and make you realize that, for me personally, it made me realize that we need to be a data-driven organization, especially when insurance, we collect so much data, might as well use it for building our capabilities. And for me, at the end of the day, it's providing a good product, a relevant product, and good service to our clients.
What was different from the start is getting the people who are hands-on, who are in the process, in the operations, thinking and getting their input, their feedback, their proposals. From the time these guys started working together, I must say from different departments, so it's not really the case. Oftentimes each one works individually and then we share. But getting all the team working together and hearing their constraints and how the others see that, it really created this osmosis and this sense of belonging to the project. So from the start, the motivation and energy were completely different. From this energy, we see that our colleagues were owner of the project, and they were fighting to get things done because when they had to come to executive committee to get the go, it was their baby and they had to fight for it. So from there, the obstacles and the delays or anything that happens in any project were like, you know, we will get this done. and they were going beyond their own limits to be able to prove that we will do it. And the bottom up was extraordinary. And due to this energy, even the skeptical ones at the top finally say, wow, we never saw that. The guys are like asking for working more. Even during the lockdown, they were organizing themselves to be able to deliver the goods. So this is really what was different, and this is why the whole project has this happiness and this energy to succeed finally.
Usually it's only 1 or 2 people who go to the executive committee, but we were such convinced with our solution, such proud. You know, the team spirit was so high. So we all stood up at the back of the room because we wanted to be here with the person who was presenting the outcome of the POC.
Well, it was the first time I was there for a presentation with ExCo members. After the presentation, when they gave us a round of applause, and it makes me feel really proud, and I'm very grateful to be part of this team.
Well, I had meetings where I saw a lot of people of all in every steps of the hierarchy. Senior management, managers, assistant managers, and staff grades, and they were all very excited. So, me as group CEO, one of my main focus is to look for the consensus. And here I didn't have to do anything because the consensus was already reached, and I just had to sign and to say, well, that's great for a CEO having a project like this where you have no trade-off to do, no disputes. Everything is done, and they've made the choice, and they've done everything by themselves, and they feel very engaged and excited and rewarded.
La chose la plus remarquable à mon sens, c'est qu'effectivement on a mis le client réellement au centre de nos préoccupations. On avait des idées sur le projet, mais lorsqu'on a interrogé le client, lorsqu'on a interrogé les clients finaux, on s'est aperçu que les idées qu'on avait, c'est pas ce qu'ils attendaient. Et on est parti justement sur l'attente des clients pour bâtir ce projet. Et c'est, je crois, ce qui fait la force de cette méthode.
A few days after we launched the project, I was amazed to see how quickly I've heard about it from the customer's point of view, saying, you've got something new in your motor claims department. I had a claim and I was amazed.
I received a call one morning. Okay, a client met with an accident, with a carambolage. And he was traumatisé, comme on va dire, dans la réclamation le matin. Nous avons pris tout en charge, donc il n'avait rien à faire. Et il était très content qu'il a envoyé un mail de satisfaction.
Much beyond my expectation. I thought that it was great just on the technical part, but also on the service, on people on the phone, and I was just amazed by the fact that customers has felt the improvement of the service very, very quickly. And in addition to that, we also been able to make some savings, quite significant savings. So all stakeholders as one.
Je pense que c'est la méthode de travail et l'approche de Red Dot qui nous ont poussés tous les jours et vraiment tous les jours. C'était pas seulement les jours où on travaillait ensemble, mais c'était même quand on était chacun dans nos départements différents. Cette approche nous a poussés à aller au-delà de nos limites. Et nous avons finalement maintenu une motivation, je peux dire, du début à la fin. Cette motivation nous a aidés à accomplir tout ce qu'on devait accomplir et aller jusqu'au bout du projet.
Un moment mémorable, c'est quand on l'a présenté à nos différents stakeholders et que tout le monde nous a dit « Waouh, bravo, un bel outil ».